JT went on to talk about how Cardi B's illiterate, how she can't rap. People, and then people in the Barty gang, they pulled up clips of like of QCP saying, "Oh, rap this like Cardi B," and they it was a whole thing with that, and they were saying like, "Oh, she can't rap," but you were in her face smiling, and she was like, "Well, yeah, I was." Yeah. So like, whatever. So here's my whole thing, right? This sucks because I feel like this whole Cardi B JT beef stemmed from Nicki Minaj. I feel like it did. And I'm not blaming Nicki Minaj for the beef, but it just stemmed from that fan base, that fandom, or like just the politics of that, if you will. It's just like, damn, like these girls were cool and like now they beefing and stuff. Like what the fuck? I guess because Cardi B felt like JT was being a quote unquote lapdog to Nicki Minaj. Because I do remember around that time it was kind of, I guess JT was doing some weird shit and she just felt the way about that because it's like, girl, I was just on one of y'all biggest songs that y'all had, the City Girls, and so I mean, I guess that's where it started. But I'm like, damn, these girls is really beefing. But also, JT saying how Cardi B can't rap, she sucks or whatever. This is my whole thing with that, right? And I'm a JT fan. I'm a Cardi B fan. I'm a JT fan. Cardi B nor JT, in my opinion, are strong rappers. They're not like the top when it comes to lyrical ability. When in female rap, they're not going to be the top girls I like point out. I'll say Nicki Minaj. I'll say Megan. I'll say Lotto. I'll say other strong, Glorilla. Even Glorilla can rap. She hard as fuck. But like, Cardi B's a good rapper too, and I feel like JT's a good rapper too. But I feel like they're not the best, and I feel like when I listen to Cardi B's music and JT's music, there's parts where I feel like, oh, this delivery feels kind of awkward. Oh, they said this. Even with the City Cinderella, that was a cool project. I'm happy that she put out her own solo project, but there were parts of that where it's like, okay, the delivery here is kind of awkward. Mm-hmm. She said this in an awkward way. I feel like this isn't on beat. Like, this is kind of weird to me. And even sometimes with JT, I don't feel like, this is the thing I like about JT. I like that. I love her attitude. I love her swag. I love her Miami accent. I love the whole Miami package. I think that City Girls are trailblazers, and they are. But like, when JT raps, I feel like sometimes the bars are a bit basic to me. Like, I don't need her to do lyrical gymnastics, but like, I just feel like the punchlines and metaphors always fall flat for me. It's nothing that like gets me up when it comes to like her lyrics, if that makes sense. Yeah. I can't really think of a super clever JT bar. You know what I mean? I just feel like she's a great rapper and she has a good tone, but I don't think that her lyrics and her pen are like, I don't think it's like top tier. Like, I don't think it's like, I just feel like her raps are cool, and they're just like, they're easy. They're like basic a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Right. But with Cardi B, she gets help and stuff, so she has like, and Cardi B, she writes and she gets help, and I feel like JT writes and she gets help. I feel like JT probably writes most of her stuff, but she still gets help in some way. I remember when the City Girls used to drop documentaries, and I think it was their City on Lock project. They had a song that Esther Dean helped them with, and I remember in the documentary, Esther Dean was in the booth with JT helping her write, like, or helping her rap, or helping her tell her story in her lyrics. Like, she was helping her, like, oh, like, how would you describe this? Like, how would you describe something that stretches, elastic, or like, things like, I remember that video. I remember seeing Esther Dean in the booth with JT. Esther Dean's a writer. She's a writer. So like, I remember seeing her in the booth with JT in there helping her come up with lyrics. Right. So everyone gets help. Everyone gets help. She's a top tier and like, people love to come at Cardi with the partisan stuff or whatever, even though like, because the people, I remember I was watching Rory and Maul's podcast the other day, and they were like pointing out, like, because it's like a backhanded compliment with them, and even with Joe Budden, like, oh, this is hard, who wrote this, like that backhanded compliment stuff. But even if Partisan Fontaine's name is in the credits, it doesn't mean that he wrote that lyric. It's probably she probably was inspired by, he was probably helping her come up with it with her. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's not always like, oh, here you go, read that. It's not always that. So like, like, you're never gonna get me with that. Like, you're never gonna get me with the whole writing thing. It's just never gonna happen. I'm never gonna fall into that. I don't give a fuck. And even if she didn't, like I said it before, and I'll say it again, even if they didn't write the shit, I don't care if it's JT, Cardi B, or Nicki Minaj. I don't care if somebody gave them the competition book and said, here, read this, I wouldn't give a fuck either way. As long as the shit sounds fucking good, I don't give a fuck. Okay, but I do believe that JT writes a lot of her own, or a lot of her. I feel like she writes her raps, but it's just it's not impressive to me. A lot of it's not really impressive to me. It's just like, oh, this is some swaggy, this is some cute bad bitch shit. Like, this is Miami, like Dade County bitch. Like, yeah, like this music, but it's not like like complex. Like, she don't give me punchline like that for real. Like, I feel like her raps are kind of easy and like straightforward. I feel like JT's raps are very straightforward.
I get it.
Yeah.
Because I don't really remember.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel with that. So when she talk about Cardi B not being a great rapper, it's like, I don't think you are either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like her saying that about Cardi B doesn't really hold that much weight, in my opinion. Even with no bars, when her and Nicki were cool, like, Nicki Minaj helped her write her second verse. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did Nicki Minaj feel the need to help you write something? Like, why did she? You know what I'm saying? Like, why did you need this assistance?
Right.
You feel me? So that's my whole thing with that. In the midst of Cardi B's sophomore album releasing, and the whole week being of Cardi B and all this stuff, Nicki Minaj tweeted out a date, March 27th, 2026, with a CD emoji next to it. So of course, that tells you there she's gonna drop her next album in March. Hopefully she doesn't push it back, but she's releasing her next album in March. So we'll see. I guess the Stan Wars continue, and even if Cardi B does beat Nicki Minaj's first week numbers, Nicki isn't gonna let her have that stat for too long. That's why she probably want to put that out in March. Yeah. So I think even though like Nicki Minaj doesn't respect Cardi B's artistry, she definitely recognizes Cardi B's impact, and I feel like it ignites the competitive spirit in her. Like, she's competitive when it comes to that, so she's not gonna let, even if Cardi B is a trash rapper to her, compared to her, she's like, oh no, baby, even if you beat my numbers, you're not gonna have this moment for long. I'm gonna come right back. I'm coming right back. So of course we're gonna have to see, like, oh, can Nicki Minaj beat these numbers? Like, what can we, it's gonna be a whole back and forth thing. I enjoy Nicki Minaj's music for the most part, so, and she has iconic verses that I still go back to today. So there's that.